Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Matt. This is Prime Analog Records, and I'm actually, it wasn't a thread, but it was Glenn Kellaway did a video the other day, and he talked about things you'd give to a kid or somebody who's younger, who's starting a collection, and what would be really good for them to do. I thought that was a really good premise, especially seeing that I have a daughter in her 20s. And I started out her collection with a bunch of my favorites like Led Zeppelin 4 and Carole King Tapestry I gave her Court and Spark, Joni Mitchell, and stuff like that. But Glenn seemed to go way back into the 60s. And these kids, these 20-year-olds, I don't know if they'll want to go back that far. They are, listening to new things, just like I got going on, what was this thing, on Spotify, and I ran out of the album that I was listening to, and then all of a sudden it just started choosing things, kind of like the old Pandora thing. It started choosing things that I would like, and actually I found there's a lot of stuff that I liked that is similar. So anyway, here's my list on what I'm going to give my daughter and what's coming. But one of the great groups that was back in the late 70s, early 80s was Montrose. And this guy right here, that's Sammy Hagar. So this is a great album. It's a great one to get them started with. I actually have an alternate cover of that same album, which I thought was quite interesting. So, all right, so another one is Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. And one of my buddies and I were sitting around the other day talking about, groups and stuff like this same kind of thing. He actually worked in a record store with me. Hey, John. We started going through and started compiling these groups, or these rock groups and stuff like that, who would fill that void and actually get these kids on the right track, as opposed to some of the stuff they're listening to now. Another great one is Rush. Rush is always a good choice. Strong Canadian band, three-piece, unbelievable drummer, Neil Peart, and Geddy Lee on the bass and vocals, and it's just, that's an incredible album, and a lot of it comes down to not just the group, but the right record. And this group, this is the earliest one I have, REO Speedwagon. Really great group. It was verging on pop. And this is the album I'm going to give her, because this is the great album. This one is kick-ass. Infidelity. All right, so next we go into a group that is it was in the 60s, but this album I don't think came out in the 60s. I think it came out in the 70s. But Let It Bleed is my favorite Stones album outside of Sticky Fingers. But this is amazing, and this is kind of that country-ish. I think it's a soft sell for the Stones. And then the Stones have had so many ups and downs with what they do, that it's kind of interesting. So when they come out with a record, you're like going, oh my gosh, let me listen to this and see if it's along the lines of the Stones that I like. All right, here's another one you can't discount, and this was in the 90s. And it's Pearl Jam. And you say to yourself, golly, these kids all know these things, and they don't. They don't know who these people are, and if they do, they've been led down the wrong path. I also said that, people go, well, that's grunge. Well, it's still rock, and so is Motley Crue and all that. I didn't put Motley Crue in here, but I've got Soundgarden, and this is an amazing album. Wow, what an incredible album. It's called Super Unknown. And this has so many huge hits on it, like Black Hole Sun, Spoon Man. Just incredible, like Suicide. Unbelievable. Another one that was left off his list. And, Glenn's a great guy. Glenn's got all he understands all this stuff. but I think he was holding in a genre that was like the 60s, and like with some of his titles and stuff like that. But see, I tended to lean a little bit more into the 80s. And this is amazing. I mean, Guns N' Roses was amazing. And, you know, it's just, that's one of those iconic rock bands that, actually I was listening to something the other day that Aaron Muth Almer had put on, and it was actually this morning. And it sounded very much like Guns N' Roses. The lead singer sounded a lot like Axl Rose. So, all right, so now we move into Foreigner. And this is one of their best albums. And like I said, these are, I'm gonna let my daughter have most of these, or at least try them out and let her see what she likes to add to her collection. She's on the up and coming, and I don't know if you guys have seen, but she and me and Chance did a video together, talking about old school versus new school, and Bennett, my daughter, was, you know, telling us about certain groups and certain things that I had not known. So anyway, so that's what I get to do this on this side. So Lynyrd Skynyrd, another amazing band that we grew up with, and it's very unique, and it's very unique among all of the titles that I've already shown. Then we have a little bubblegum. I have to throw this in there. That's a Stone Cold Mint copy too. This the Slippery When Wet at Bon Jovi, but I mean, this is mint. Then we were talking about restraint, and how John Mayer showed restraint in something that was, in something that was basically like what John Mayer shows great restraint, and Eddie Van Halen did not in this album. You know, when he did Eruption, it's like, that's outrageous, and it's like we've never heard anything like it. And of course, everybody jumped on board. Here's one you don't hear every day, and Mother's Finest. And what a great album that is. This is a promo, actually. It's a white label promo. And what a great album. Oh my gosh. Incredible. And it's funky, and it's raw. It's got everything you want in a rock band. All right, of course I have to throw this in, Led Zeppelin 2. It's my favorite Led Zeppelin, and I just, the others have different things about them that I like, but that one's a big one. And here's my last one. Probably I think one of the greatest debut albums of all time, and everybody needs to have this in their collection. So now we're going to go on. We're going to go on to the cooking side of this. So I hope you guys enjoyed that, and I hope you can keep giving me some support on my cooking channel and stuff like that. I'm trying to do stuff that makes it easier, that you guys can do, and you can impress your wives and girlfriends and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, that's where we're at right now, and we're gonna head off to the cooking segment. These are beef ribs, basically doubled in size. And I'm spritzing now with a combination of water and apple cider vinegar. Maintaining temperatures at about 250, 275. All right, guys. So, look at Brody over here. He's relaxed, waiting for barbecue. Generally, when you get a slab of these ribs, they're like this. It's called a plate rib. And I'm not going to go through all the rigmarole, what I do, as far as I can tell you. It's really simple. I make a binder. I usually use mustard or hot sauce, and I slather it all over the ribs. And then what I do, and then I put salt and pepper on, and garlic. salt or garlic powder. Garlic powder is important because if you use garlic salt and then you salt on top of that, it'll be too salty and you'll have unevenness in the cook. So anyway, so that's what I do. It's very simple. And then what I do is I just put it on. I maintain my temperatures on my smoker. I try to get right around 275 to 280, 285 max. And generally it takes about, about, I don't know, 4 to 6 hours. Even it could be even longer. I have a meter in it, which is the MEATER probe, and that probe keeps me up to date on the internal temperature and also the external temperature. I don't trust my meters the temperature gauge on the smoker itself. I just don't trust that too much. I trust what the internal temperature is from the meter. But anyway, we're getting down to it. I've already spritzed it once. The last time I showed you a picture of it, I spritzed it once with apple cider vinegar. I try not to spritz very much. And the reason why is because it ruins the bark if you spritz too much, because what ends up happening is you start to spray off the seasonings on it and all that kind of stuff. And even though the caramelization's happening and happened, it loosens it and it wets it too much, so it doesn't maintain that bark really well. We want to maintain that bark, and like I said, we're getting down to it now. I've got to go out and probe it, and that's what I really start to recognize when I get close to the number at like 203, 204, somewhere around there, even 205. I start to use my probe that's on my on one of my my InstaRead thermometers, and what I'm looking for in that when I'm probing like that is I'm looking for it to feel like really like butter going into it. It's like a hot knife going through butter. It shouldn't have any really resistance outside of the bark. When it hits the bark and then you push it through between the bones, it should feel really super soft. And that's when you know you can pull them off. Why my remote's not working? If I was to guess, I would say, see, these bones are popping right through all that drawback in the meat. Look how thick that is. And so we're probably, if I had to guess, probably 20-30 minutes away, and I'm going to give one more spritz. This is apple cider vinegar. And now I'm going to close it up, maintain the temperature, and we'll see back in a couple minutes. So we're right at the place where this is called the stall. And it gets about 190, 195 around there, and then it just stalls, and it stays there for, could be 30, 40, 50 minutes, and it just keeps saying that it's at the same time on the meter, and that's why you have to watch it at this point. You can't kind of give up on it. But anyway, that's where we're at right now. Here's what they look like. All right, so now we're getting close right now, and I can see here, and what we're going to do is probe it. And we don't care so much about the temperature. What we're caring about is how the softness goes in, and that's what we're checking right now. That's perfect right there, but that's at 205. So we got to wait just a little bit longer. All right, guys, so we're at the point that I've already probed everything, and look how huge that is. These are Brontosaurus ribs. And that bark looks amazing on there. So let me get this up. Let me get this off. Put it over here. You gotta make sure that let me shut this off. And what you have to make sure you do is you have to make sure that you rest it.